Okay, who would have thought that the vlog would kick off with me on my walking pad? Reverse day, shall we say. It is currently 1 minute to 10, finishing off the final steps of the day. But I said I would get a little kickstart into the vlog. Show you my glasses. Who likes them, eh? I always get questions on these blue light blockers. You don't need to buy them. They're not a gimmick, but they're not a necessity. You can just, if you do have a Apple device, I know, which everyone is, unless you're a bum, let's be honest, you can go onto the settings, search up color filters, and change your screen to red. Now, it won't automatically come on, you will have to remember, but I just put a timer on at 8:30 and repeat it daily. So it's like a little reminder, 8:30 daily. I get a reminder, and you can label it whatever you want. Remember to go into settings, turn on red screen, because red is what will be the opposite of blue light essentially. And yeah, welcome to today's vlog. I'm saying welcome. I'll be heading to bed now in the next half an hour. I don't know why I'm doing my steps so late, but that's that. You get them in. I could sit there and be like, oh, too late. Or you grow up hair. Or I could have prepared better, to be fair to me. I shall see you in the next clip when I'll take you through what this vlog entails. Leave you with a bit of curiosity. Goodbye. Kitchen tour. Hello, hello. It is not the next day, but in fact 2 days later. So yes, time is flying. If you're still tuned, stay in, because there's big things to come. We are in a new kind of routine at the moment, and I would like this video to show how I suppose manage new routines would be the word. Or when things aren't the same as they usually are, how I go about it. Little breakdown of the changes. So typically I would train after meal 1. Now I have placement, so I'm busy at that. During meal 1 I will now be in a school, so we have done a few tweaks. I will say it by word because I can't show you the first 2 meals. I'm not recording in a school. I'm not bringing a camera into a school. But first meal is small enough, 10 a.m. It is going to be 84 grams of jasmine rice. Why 84 grams? Well, it's 300 calories on the dot, but it is also the exact same as the bag of Dunn's Ready spuds. So if I am ever in enough of a rush, I can just calorie swap it. Simple things like that. So 84 grams of rice, the usual 150 veg. Obviously I'll have veg in my rice meals all the time. And we are going for 85 grams of raw white beans. Now you might be thinking, that's not a lot. It's not. But because at 12:15, so just over 2 hours later, we need to have our next meal. So that needs to be digested, ready to go for our next meal. 12:15 will be our next meal, which is going to be 125 oats. So a nice big bowl of oats. It is going to be 80 grams of banana, 25 grams of whey isolate, and 8 grams of dark chocolate. These numbers sound weird, but they have been calculated into my macros, so don't worry. Then after that, I will be training. So I get off at 2:10. At 2:10, I will be having 4 rice cakes, so 20 grams worth of carbs with the rice cakes, 200 mils of orange juice, there's another 20 grams of carbs, and a banana again. So we're having around 60 grams of carbs at about 2:10 in the gym for 3. Why have I done it this way? Well, because you typically, I've mentioned it before, your oxidation rate of carbohydrates, you will be able to actually absorb 1 gram of carb per minute. So if you are having 60 grams of carbs, and you're training within the hour, not even all of them will be absorbed. So there's no point in me having a massive cream of rice meal just before my gym session and then, not even having it absorbed. So I'm going for something like the rice cakes, which were proven to be good in Spain. And I brought that back with me. That alongside some lessons learned in the gym, obviously on progressive overload, keeping form strict, always a big factor. Another big thing I will be focusing on is hydration throughout the day. Something that I probably would have neglected a bit too much before. and kind of just been like, oh, I'm not thirsty. There's a big, like, hydration is massive for, first of all, carb absorption and for just overall fatigue management. Like, you don't really understand the impact of feeling that bit dizzy or feeling that bit kind of nauseous or not energized until you are dehydrated. So I want absolutely no option of being dehydrated. Apart from that, that is the plan. So the new training schedule is 3 p.m. Same split, upper lower rest, and I shall hopefully one of the days when I'm actually, yeah, I will show you some training footage because it has been a while on this, and I will possibly do a little walkthrough. But I just said I would touch in. That's the plan. It's not going to be a full day of eating tomorrow because you won't be able to see meal 1 and 2, but I have set up my word. And then I can show you meal 3, 4, and 5, which are the exact same: salmon rice, egg, cream of rice, or egg and potato. And finally, finishing off the day with cream of rice, peanut butter drizzler, banana, blueberry, whey, or cooked chicken. That is it, lads. I shall see you tomorrow. Oh, breathe it in. What a day, eh? How don't you feel alive when the sun is out? You just feel like a fucking feel like you could run through a door. How is everybody doing? I feel like this vlog is going nowhere. This is probably the weirdest vlog you've ever seen, but I'll give you another update because I'm sure you would have seen last night's. So, long story short, I'm actually not meant to be on placement this week. I made a mistake. Yesterday was an observing day, and then I'm in next week for full-time teaching. So the full day of eating will go back to normal until then. I am going to keep the sleep schedule routine the same, which I have been loving, I must say. It's like 10:30 to 7. So I'm up at 7, feeling good. Is it the longest 9.5 hours? No. But I don't know, if I was to sleep 8 hours and wake up at 11 o'clock in the morning, or sleep 7 and wake up at 7 o'clock, I just feel better. I get up, I get out for my morning walk, get some sun on me, especially when the weather is like this. What's not to love? So I'm going to keep that routine in check for the next few days. It also allows me to just, get more work done if I'm up early. Not cliche, but the early bird catches the worm, as they say. I am busy with work. Between my part-time remote work, I do 22.5 hours a week of that. I have placement, obviously, and I have coaching and an attempt to make content. Now, the biggest chunk of time with that is, of course, placement, not the actual time in class. Obviously, that is 6 hours, but the time away from it. You're preparing your lessons, you're doing your evaluations, you're doing your reflective tasks, you're doing your progressional schemes. For those who have someone in teaching, you will know that it is not easy, and it is not a non-time consuming period. It takes up a lot of time between making resources and all that as well. So really busy, but time management is big. There's always time. It just comes down to structuring your priorities on that day and setting aside hours, setting aside time for steps. Now, typically I should be on my pad because that's where I edit and do stuff like that, obviously when I'm walking. But I mean, the weather's too nice. I'd feel so guilty if I was walking indoors on a fucking walking pad when the sun is out and you get that vitamin D. But yeah, this video will continue into tomorrow, and it will be a full day of eating. Getting gym content is hard on this little camera until I get a stand for it. So until then, that'll probably be, staying on the Insta. But if you are intrigued to see that, and maybe how I train, why I train the way I do, head over there. Or more importantly, ask myself for some guidance, some coaching. I will not have tons of space, obviously, because the amount I have on. However, if you're someone who is willing to put in effort, like I say, then slots are open. Head over to the link in my Instagram, fill that out, and I will be in touch. We can go over a call. I take it very seriously in how it's personalized for you. If you just want a meal plan, go on ChatGPT, because like they can do everything, as in make me food I like, but the whole point of me would be to actually spot things and design something for you. I have had people make incredible transformations so far between weight loss and between body recomp, in terms of actually building muscle while in a diet phase, because it can be done with proper programming, proper structure, and overall form analysis. So making sure your execution and intensity is on point. It can of course be done. A deficit is not the best environment for building muscle, but guess what? If you are not a few years into the gym and really taking that seriously, then you can 100% build muscle in a deficit. I even progressed last year in a deficit, and I'm, training seriously now for about 4 or 5 years, and I still notice strength progression. So it comes down to, like I said, keeping on top of your programming, good nutritional timing, and just the guidance that you need, knowing when to pull back, knowing when to up food, knowing when to, maybe pull back on steps for this day alone, not in total. So that's it for today. One more time, soak in that sun. I'm gonna give you a little flip. This is where I walk, just around the kind of greenery area. Beautiful sun of Crumlin, Dublin. Woo! Welcome back to this part of the video. This was meant to be originally a full day of eating. By the way, headphones over the, hood is the way to go. Just so cozy, you feel like your ears are always nice and warm, and they don't get sore, and sometimes the headphones kind of dig in. Anyway, I said I would finish this little video off with a few of the Instagram Q&As. This has taken over 2 different Q&A, because the last one I never got to. So I took a screenshot of a few interesting ones. A lot of them are shitty, like should I take fucking vitamin D or some boring shit like that, so we're not going to get into that. I'll get into the decent ones. First one, I might pop them up if my technical abilities are that good. I'll pop them up. Sorry, I'm going to take these headphones off when I talk, and probably take my hood down. Seems a bit more appropriate. What split do you follow and why? So I follow an upper-lower split. Why do I follow it? Well, because first of all, it allows for a high enough frequency. I can hit it at minimum twice per week. So I usually go, don't think of it as like 7-day week. I go like 5 times over 8 days. So like kind of upper-lower rest, pretty much upper-lower rest is what I will run. Why do I do that? Well, I enjoy it. I used to run upper-lower push-pull legs, but I just prefer upper sessions, if I'm being honest. That's probably the biggest reason. There's tons of, maybe you go into science and all. All you need to know for your split is to hit it a minimum of twice per week. If you want to do 3 times per week, you can. I would focus on an upper session having 2 to 3 sets per muscle group, okay? So, for example, lats, I could have a traditional lat pull down and then a neutral grip lat row. That's 2 sets total for lats. Shoulders, I will do a shoulder press and a lateral raise in the same session, but I will just do 1 set of each, or maybe 2 sets of a shoulder press, 1 set of lateral raise. Again, totals for 3 sets. My chest on upper sessions, I do 1 flat of single arm flies. Sometimes I will add in a second set of dual flies and then an incline fly. 2 to 3 sets per muscle group, as in chest. So I hope you understand. I don't recommend you do 1 set per muscle group. So let's say if I'm saying 1 set of lat pull down, that doesn't mean my lats are only getting 1 set total per session. It just means that region of the lat, if I'm going to get technical with it. But I will typically opt for a minimum of 2 sets per muscle group. The only thing, so hamstrings are another example. I do one set of 45-degree extensions or SLDLs, but on that same session, I would have done a set of lying leg curls, or most of the time two. So it's still, the overall volume per muscle group should be at a decent level. Don't make it too low, because you have small kind of room for error when you're running that low a volume. So really make sure that it is quality, effective, good execution, and that you're hitting it often enough. That next, as a beginner, is it important to train to failure? Yes, 100%. Now I know there's a lot of research, and good research, because I follow it now, around, you know, leaving a rep in the tank. However, it specifically says as a beginner, and it is 100%. You need to get experience with lifting to failure and motor unit recruitments. Okay, so as we lift and as we get more experience, we will be able to produce more motor unit recruitment. Pretty much it's a skill to be able to train with intensity. Have you ever walked in the gym and on the first day been, you know, training balls to the wall? No, because it's a skill. Your body doesn't really know how close you are to actual failure until you get time under your belt. So definitely as a beginner, and not only is it important to train to failure, as a beginner I would not be training in a too low rep range, because first of all you will not be able to gauge, is this 5 reps actually, you know, the last 5 reps of a set, or am I just being, you know, a bit of a bitch? I'm messing. You wouldn't be a bitch if you're a beginner, but you naturally, you don't really know, you don't have the intensity. It's a skill to learn, like I said. So first of all, yes, train to failure as a beginner, but number 2, have higher volumes, and number 3, you might not need a massive exercise variety. I program for myself, you know, a lat pull down, a neutral grip lat row in the same session, as well as for the chest. I'll hit all my regions of the chest in the same session. For a beginner, a lot of it is just, you know, getting them used to the actual skill of the movement. So it could be more beneficial to just say, right, do 2 sets of a flat press, or do 3 sets of a flat press, and that's it. And then the next session we might do 2 sets of flat press, 2 sets of an incline. But I wouldn't never do, or for biceps, for example, 3 sets of a preacher curl instead of doing, you know, 1 set preacher curl, 1 set hammer curl, 1 set reverse curl. It has its place, and definitely that's how I program for me. But as a beginner, focus on, yes, training to failure, focus on enjoyment, consistency in the gym, progressive overload, the biggest things. But yes, there's so much more to say to that, and there could be, like, you go on for time and time again about like the differences between lifting for, or lifting as a beginner, as an intermediate. Even like after 3 years, you know, you're kind of past that beginner phase, then you can start to look at the things. But at the start, 100% lift to failure as a beginner. That is the second question. What is cream of rice? Do you like cream of rice? What actually is cream of rice? Cream of rice tutorial. Okay. I know a lot of people outside the gym scene aren't very familiar with cream of rice. Cream of rice is literally just rice, okay? It's powdered rice. Rice that has been finely ground down. Think of it, you had jammed rice and you pounded the shit out of it and you got cream of rice. It's powdered rice. Baby food. It's literally what babies eat, and then they have a small bit of flavouring in it for the taste. No, the flavouring is not going to kill you. You will have to have a shit ton of sweeteners and flavourings in order for it to be bad. However, if you do notice that you have digestive issues, that, you know, after you eat it, maybe an hour after you eat it, you're kind of like, oh, I don't feel great. Grand, take it out. Not everyone has the same dietary kind of acceptance, would you say? Some people can have anything, some others couldn't. I never had an issue with oats. Some find oats don't sit well with them. That's just the way our bodies work. So yeah, long story short, I love cream of rice. It's the very best carb for me, digestible wise, and it is powdered rice with sweetener in it. That's what cream of rice is. Decent question. What's a better surplus, 200 or 500? Both clean foods. 200. And even then, it depends, because there's nuance to it. Are you 50 kilograms, 1 year into the gym, 4th year student from town, you're racking up every single bend done squat? I said that wrong, but you get what I mean.
then yes, have a surplus. Are you someone who's already 85 kilograms in not the best shape, skinny fat as we call it, who doesn't have muscle but has this idea of, oh, I must bulk to gain muscle? Then no, you do not need anywhere near 500 calories. So again, it's nuance. It comes down to the client. It comes down to different people have different needs. No, you don't need to bulk. However, that's not saying nobody ever needs to be in a surplus phase, because it's true. I mean, yes, you can maintain your weight, and I eat at maintenance, but again, it's different for different people at different stages of their lifting career. If you're 17 years old and 65 kilos, I would recommend you have a surplus, as well as that, to give you the motivation in the gym to progress. If you have the feeling of, oh, I had so much food this morning, I'm going to go in and really get stronger. Good, you're getting stronger. That's the name of the game. Everything we do is for the reason of getting stronger. We try to perfect our sleep. We try to have the perfect supplement, the perfect routine, the perfect programming volume, all of this. But the goal is just getting stronger over time. I mean, if that's not happening, then none of this is effective. So unfortunately, there's no correct answer. However, for most people, I would say 200. You don't need these massive calorie surpluses, and even 200 could be too high. For someone like myself, even if I had a 200 calorie surplus, I would be gaining unnecessary fat. We gain muscle so slowly. Like, you'd be lucky to gain more than 100 grams of muscle, in a month. It's grams, tiny, tiny fractions of muscle happen. If you see your scale go up by 2 kilograms per month, do you think you've gained 2 kilos of muscle tissue? No, there is unnecessary fat. And is it the worst thing in the world? No, you can diet again and bring it off, but the risk of losing it in that diet is also quite high. So there is the not straightforward answer, because there isn't one. Is there a better calorie surplus? Typically on the lower end, and then you'll find out, oh, I can actually progress while having 100 calories over my maintenance. Why would I increase it to 500? Food isn't a stimulus. Your stimulus is your progression in the gym and the overall tension, mechanical tension being put on the muscle. If you have enough food in place to support being able to progressively overload, then that's enough. It's like protein. If I have 170 grams of protein and I'm recovering, then what will 250 grams do? It wouldn't add to my recovery. It wouldn't make me recover faster. It would just be more. And more is not always more. It's just, more is not always better. It's simply more. So I hope that somewhat answered that question. Again, it is a hard topic, such as the last one, but very individual dependent as well. Good question. Right, how many hours sleep do you get? Roughly 7.5 to 8. I will be doing a sleep video coming up I'm going in depth on sleep, tons of information, thoughts, maybe some controversial, maybe some others not. But anyway, that was the question. Is it better to train at morning or in the night? I prefer morning. Lower stress, can have caffeine. You don't need that many carbs. Remember, before the gym session, you're only topping up your sugar levels. Your glycogen should already be filled. You will have energy from the food the day before and all that. So pretty much anything you eat on the day of training isn't actually really being digested, unless, of course, it's 4-5 hours down the line. But if you're training in the morning, your pre-workout meal should have you can get away with just carbs. You will still hit your protein across the day, and it should be, typically I like to go for a gram of carbs per gram of body weight, mixing my carb sources, as you all know. Caffeine as a supplement, underrated, or not underrated, overhated. People are always like, oh, I don't have caffeine. That's fine if you don't sleep well, but to kind of then shit on it as a supplement, or be like, oh, you don't need caffeine, I just have a pump product, I'd kind of disagree. Again, caffeine is such a big topic, and I will go into it probably, do you know what? Idea for a video. I'm going to go into it in the same video as the sleep video. So caffeine and sleep are going to be in a video coming up. If you would like to see a lot of information on that, good, useful insights, then stay tuned, because I'm going to be linking them. I'm going to kind of be like, this Q&A is kind of quick ones. Like there's some here on bulking and stuff. Should I bulk? I'm going to do another video on that because these topics are so long. I couldn't just be like yes or no. I want to give lots of information so that it's useful rather than just being like yeah or no and someone walks away having one idea. Because a lot of things is take the research, put it into practical use. Does it work? For example, thing I've changed my mind on, I used to have a massive bowl, 140 grams of cream of rice, about 40 minutes before I trained. I then started looking into the research. Okay, I'm probably not absorbing all these carbs, the oxidation rates. I have stripped it way back. I now have about 80 grams, which is more than enough. My gym performance is still progressing. I feel great in the gym. I don't get hungry. So I was like, oh, that's handy. I now have more carbs to place after my training as well because I train in the morning. So it's a win-win situation. But I will be touching on bulking again in another video. So I don't want this Q&A to be, saying, oh, I'll touch on another video. But these big topics such as that, I want to add in to a proper video. So that will do for this small one. I'll keep this small, short, and sweet, along with the other clips you would have seen earlier. Thank you for tuning in to whatever this video is. I am going to go back to writing my progressional schemes. I'm on lesson number 6 of my English one, and it has been a trek to say the least, but we are staying on track. Today we have gotten on our rest day 15,400 steps. Sorry, 15,140 steps. I don't know why I said 400 there. So we have 1K to go, 16K on rest days. Everything is in track. I am under severe time pressure, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope everybody has a beautiful rest of the evening. Why is the camera always doing that? Kind of like focuses for a second. Have a good evening. Have a good lunch. Whenever you do watch this, have a good meal. Have a good walk. Maybe I'm listening to you in your headphones. If I am, I'm honored. Anyway, more videos coming out very soon. Educational, informational videos such as the bulking topic, such as carbs before gym, such as sleep, caffeine, recovery, everything like that. And it'll be from a new perspective of maybe things you have not heard or seen it before. Rather than the simple, boring bullshit, how to grow your biceps, I'm going to try to teach you stuff that you actually didn't know before. Look, I do it, this kind of follows me. Yeah, go on. Yeah, you up? Why did I do that? Anyway, good night. I'm not editing that part out as well. I'm not arsed. Too much time, too much shit on my plate to be editing that out. Good night. Have a good day. Have a good goal. Have a new habit. Take out an old habit, as I always say. And from there, I will see you in the next video.